How we doing? How we doing, guys? Stanley, what's up? Alas, Ronnie, my boy, Zypher, how we all doing? How we all doing? Ronan, we have a lot to catch up on, my man. You tell me you come to Cape Town and you just disappear for weeks on weeks. Hey, no one, what's up? What's up? How we doing, guys? Just gonna wait a couple of minutes, get into breaking these pairs down. Very, very choppy price action on GJ at the moment. Alessandro, welcome, welcome. Hope you all had a good weekend, by the way, guys. Let me know if you got up to anything interesting. Mine was pretty boring. Pretty standard weekend. Sharif, what's up? Sometimes you need those though. Okay, let's start with, we do have a US bank holiday, so let's just start with GJM, plus we have London Open coming up just now. Because now you're an old man. Ronan, I don't even want to hear it from you today. You owe me a lot of explanations. Okay, GJ, guys. You don't drink anymore? Do you know what? I prefer going to like wine farms and stuff like that than hitting the club nowadays. So I guess, yeah, I'm an old man. That's what I wanted to do when you came here, bro. Go to hit a wine farm. Okay. Time to focus up, time to focus up. Okay, I did do a breakdown for the members yesterday. So members, you guys have probably heard all of this before, but for the other guys, here we go. Let's get into GJ, starting off on the weekly. Obviously, we look at how last week's weekly candle closed. You can see we closed bearish, however, it wasn't very strong bearish. It was quite weak bearish. The wicks are on both sides are bigger than the body. So that's telling us that there was a lot of indecision in the market. You know, there was some drops and some moves up. So yeah, that is one thing to look at. It's also important to know that our weekly market structure therefore is bearish. You can see that we are bearish in market structure on the weekly time frame. If we now look at the daily time frame, you know our market structure has been bullish on the daily time frame for ages. This was our high point which created a high. We have not exceeded that, nor have we created a new high. So therefore we are still bullish in market structure on the daily time frame. Now it's time to look at the daily candles and what they're telling us, the most recent ones. Obviously you can see Thursday and Friday were both bearish days. However, Friday we wicked all the way up and kind of rejected this resistance. So that is a rejection wick, which we could now be coming to full if we do start forming some support. We are on a very strong daily support level. You can see that we've formed support here once, twice, and now we could be forming some support here for the third time. So that could be an indication. At the moment, we are just ranging on GJ. You can see, well, based on the daily, you can see that when we're in this price range on the daily time frame, as soon as we move out of it, we move very easily. So we moved down easily, we moved up easily, and then we were consolidating in this area. We came back into it, and now we're consolidating in it again. So we kind of, if we want to get those nice clean moves, we do need to get out of this range eventually. It could take a while. You can see if we drop down now to the 4-hour time frame, we are also still ranging. This is the current range which we've established, and we can't break above that resistance level or break below that support level. If we're looking at market structure, still bullish in market structure, high created by this point over here, and we have not exceeded that, nor have we created a new high. So bullish in market structure, daily bullish, 4-hour bullish, weekly bearish. If we now, well, what we can do on the 4-hour as well is mark out our most relevant sort of areas of support and resistance. You can see that's more or less it. If you wanted to be safe, you could say down here is probably our better area of support to mark, because this is a range we're trapped in, and we do need to get out of this range to have these clean candles to the left and the same as to the top side. So now if we go to the 30-minute time frame, we're obviously going to have to adjust our zone. So what I would do is, I know we have this massive rejection wick to the top up here, but what we can expect if we get a candle close, let's say above 157.118, we would be expecting volume to first of all fill this wick and then continue with the clean candles to the left. So I'd be marking it around at the top of this wick over here, this resistance level. Sells, we obviously need to adjust this a little bit more so it's not cutting through the bodies. We can just shift this down tiny bit, and then you can see if we break below this support over here, clean candles to the left. That would obviously be determined by what sort of candle closes we're getting. We are again stuck in an extremely unfortunate range at the moment. 4 hour, 30 minutes, whatever you want to look at it on, we are ranging. Price has been ranging since the 15th we saw, so not great. So we are going to be looking for something more aggressive and possibly looking for some earlier entries. You can see we do have a possible sell level below this support level, because obviously then we have clean candles to the left. So that's something to look at. And then I would mark out this resistance level and say if we get above there, although it is choppy price action, what it does indicate is that we are sort of creating on the low time frames. On the 5 minute, this would be like a small push up, so higher highs, higher lows. So that could be an indication that based on the lower time frames, also the daily level which we're on, which is a current daily support level, that we could start moving up and get to the top of this range and hopefully break out of this range. I want to get out of this range by the end of today, at least, because it's not going to be an easy one to trade. Market structure, sorry, we didn't go through market structure on the 30-minute time frame. This is where it does get a little bit more tricky when it ranges like this, but what I would say is, let's go with this being our low. Sorry, I just did a quick, very quick look at this. This is our low created by this point over here. We then exceeded that, making that our high created by this point over here. There's your 2 or more candle pullback. Then this became our low down here, created by this point over here, and then we got a candle close. So we are bullish, 3v1 bullish in market structure. We have our 30-minute, 4 hour, daily all bullish, and our weekly is bearish. And the only reason our weekly is bearish is because of last week's weekly candle being bearish. So at the moment my bias is currently bias. We do need to also take into consideration that recently we have had a huge amount of fundamental impact on the markets. This whole Ukraine situation is really messing around with the markets. You can see on gold how bullish we were last week. On the pound, we were also chopping up and down, and obviously as soon as we get some negative news that comes in saying there are troops heading towards Ukraine and there is that threat of that imminent war, then the pound value obviously comes down. And then the same thing when they say the troops have been withdrawn or they're coming to some sort of agreement, then again the pound value starts going back up. So that could obviously play into the whole reason of this current range that we're trapped in. But again, if we're looking at price action and pure technicals, these are the areas we need to break above or below. I'd say if we're gonna continue up, I'd like to see us maybe once we're out of this range get up to about 157,602, and then if we're gonna come out right at the bottom here, we could come down to about 155,554. Those are the 2 areas I'm looking at. So yeah, risky. Let's just go with risky buys. Above 156.704. That's going to be very risky, by the way, guys. You can see it's pretty choppy price action, but we could be basing that on London Open. And I'd also say risky sells. And I will check out those charts in the Telegram as well, guys. Have not forgotten about those. .429. Sorry, just checking something out quickly. That's perfect. And then we want, I think our much safer sells are going to come below 155.985. And our safer buys, although again guys, important to remember we do have that rejection wick. It's going to be safer buys above 157.118. That's rough. That's like this one, because of that wick, obviously is rough. What do you, Nick? How you doing? How you doing? Yo, Ronan, I do need to chat you maybe after the stream, if you are still in the chat there. Need to have a bit of a catch up. And then obviously this is a no trade range, guys. So just stay away from that. Just trying to think if there's anything else I need to go through. I hope all you guys did understand that sort of breakdown. Let me just quickly get to the Telegram here so that we are checking out some of the charts that we put in the Telegram. We have a chart from Belas who you have this marked out as a no trade range. I do understand the reasoning behind that because, again, this would be risky buys. They are fairly clean candles above this area, but if you drop down to low time frames on the 15-minute, then there's going to be some resistance levels which are going to be problems. Otherwise, I would say definitely wait for price to get above this resistance which we established at this 157 200 this 157.05 level. So that would be obviously an option. Otherwise, what you're going to have to do is wait for these sells below the 156.40 level, which now are going to be counter trend sells. So that's definitely going to be something to take a look at. Glenn, good morning. Just me is 4v0 bullish on both GJ and gold. I don't actually, no, because gold, GJ on the weekly is bearish. You can see how last week's weekly candle closed bearish, so that gives us a weekly bias as bearish, and gold, the 1 hour, I think also flipped. We had this as our high, this is the point which created the high, there's your 2 or more candles, and we got a candle close below that point. So that 1 hour is now bearish on gold. 3v1 on both of them. Still in favor of the bullish market structure, but 3v1. The most important thing about GJ to remember at the moment, guys, is this daily support level. I got 2v2 on GJ. Just let me know what time frames you have as not bullish, and then I'll tell you what I think is wrong with that. Like I said, guys, there's going to be a lot of confusion around the 30 minutes just because of how choppy the price action is on the 30 minute. And when structure chops and changes like this, it's very hard to identify the point to actually choose. So what I would normally do is take the lowest point. So you can see that's the lowest point of before we started ranging, and then you can work it out from there. So you'll have flips at that level. Then as you're creating new highs, you know, your flips will change, sort of thing. So that is definitely something to look at. You've got 30-minute bearish. Let me just quickly show you why 30 minutes is not bearish, because we took this as our low. This was a point which created the low. We then exceeded that, right? So this became our high. This became the point which created the high. We then exceeded that. This became our low. And then we look for the 2 or more candle pullback right here. So we exceeded that. And then this became our high. So if we're exceeding a point which creates the low, we're creating a high then. So that's flipping market structure. So market structure was bearish, yes, until about, let's just say to be safe, a couple of hours ago, 3 hours ago. But I do understand why this can be tricky to identify market structure, especially with this price action. Got London Open coming up in about 20 seconds. We are also forming some resistance. Not great pre-London candle at all. Sorry. I do like this chart, Belas. Very well marked out. Again, you can be looking for some riskier entries here, but if you want to play it safe, only look for those buys above that 157.05 level, that level that you have marked in. I have it marked in as 157.118. So I'll be looking for a candle close above that level. At the moment, for me, this sort of pre-London candle doesn't give me any indication for possible entries. So what could end up happening is, even if there is a nice move here, I don't know how comfortable I'll be with taking it. What I could rather wait for is what we did a lot last week, is where we let a London move happen, and then we just caught our moves later on in the day during New York and those sort of sessions. Much safer to do it that way as well. We'll get into a gold breakdown in a couple of minutes, guys. All we need to understand, though, that on gold, just some extra sort of info is we do have a US bank holiday. So there is obviously going to be a little bit less volume. Well, what could be a little bit less volume on any US dollar related pair or things like gold. But obviously we do have some pretty important news coming in. Well, not news coming in, but we do have a pretty important sort of event happening in the world right now, which could affect gold even on a day like today. We are also, we have formed 1 hour support on gold. Also have some clean candles to the left. Just quickly check out your gold chart below us. I think it is, yeah, potential buys above 18.99. Sorry, let me just drop down to a 30-minute time frame. That would be perfect. Yeah, that is correct. Didn't actually get into marking this out properly. And then you have risky buys above 18.94. That would be this current level. Yeah, you could look at that as well. Clean candles to left. Just got to obviously watch out for those candle closes. Risky sells below 18.87. Also have very similar area marked, and that is going to be risky because obviously you have the rejection wicks. And then the much safer sells come below 18.83. I do agree with that as well, because obviously then you have the clean candles. You'll have that, well, we currently already have had that 1 hour structural flip. But if we're looking on the higher time frames, you need to see we did form daily resistance on Friday. Very weak daily resistance, but we did. So now if we come back down, we've already broken Friday's daily high. Now if we come back down and break Friday's daily low, I think there's a good opportunity that we could start heading down. It's a very nice chart. Let's see what else we have here. We have a chart from Alessandro, which is you're looking for potential buys above 156.940. Was also checking that out. That's around here. On the 15-minute, I think it looked better because obviously you can see on the 15-minute you have much cleaner candles to the left. So I do think that that is, but it's very risky zone to trade into. And you have sells below 164.40, also a similar area to us marked in here. So yep, nice GJ chart. Obviously there are potentials for some riskier entries in here, but again, this is trading a very, very big range. So just be careful. Yeah, I chose that zone based on the 50-minute. Yep, looks really much cleaner and better on the 50-minute, that's for sure. Now we have another, I think you sent that twice, never mind. Let's see what else we got here. We got a gold chart coming in. You're also looking for those potential buys above that resistance level. And yeah, we have now created that 1 hour support. So I think on gold, this 1 hour, obviously for me, this 1 hour support is quite important. We didn't respect the low of the previous 1 hour candle, but we did form support basically on a previous level of 1 hour support as well. We now, if we get above these sorts of levels, this will be breaking through that minor resistance. So that's going to be your 15-minute resistance. And then if we get candle close above there, you can see just how clean the price action was to the left. So we should be looking to correct some of that move down. Again, safer sort of entries could come at higher levels, but I think to get the most optimal entry, we do need to start looking for possibly buys above this sort of 1893 level. If we can get a 30-minute candle close above there, the next one to wick down and push back up, I think that will be an ideal entry. GJ is not really offering us much at the moment. Finding an entry on here could be very tough. Just see how much range we have here. 16 pips worth of range. Sell levels also looking pretty rangy. 22 pips worth of range. Where would gold range be at the top? Are you talking about this high or these sorts of areas? So we're breaking through 1908. We actually, I don't know if you, the members would have seen, if we, based on the Sunday webinar last night, we actually expected price to get up to 1908. We broke through that resistance level. There was clean candles based on the 1 hour and the 30-minute. can see now that the reason we're rejecting 90.08 is literally because of these sorts of levels that we're at right now. You can see just how bad price action is at that level. So what you'd be waiting for is price to break above these sorts of levels, maybe create a clean move, come back down, form some support and retest the highs. If we're going to break above 19.08, I think maybe we could come to 19.11, but no clean candles to the left, very tough to trade. I would say that if we can break above 19.11 though, then we do have clean candles all the way to 19.15. So that's 30-40 pips worth of range. So that's going to be still 30 pips above where our current high is. But that is your safest sort of area to be looking at if you're waiting for price to break out of this sort of situation that we're in. You can see there's still quite a way to go until we get up there. And we still need to obviously retest the high if we are going to continue bullish. So definitely something to watch out for. Let's just put here potential just keeping an eye on GJ. We are on a previous level of resistance. So if we do start forming some support, this is going to be risky. And obviously we seem to be forming a bit of a range here. So this is going to be a no trade zone. You can see we are on a previous level of resistance, possibly turning into support. And on the 5-minute time frame, we are creating these sort of small moves up. So yeah, just might play it safe though, to be honest with you. Chatting on the webinar last night, I think it's important when it comes to this sort of stage in a month, so especially February. So this is basically our last week. The last trading day is next week, Monday, the 28th. So we basically, let's just say this is the last week of trading that we have left in February. This is always, the last week of the month is always a super important week. It obviously, depending on how your month has been going so far, if you're up quite well for the month, this is when you would be trying to be looking for those trades which you can maximize your profits. So you can be looking for those huge wins as opposed to always securing at, let's say, 10, 15 pips. You can try and let your trades run a bit more. That is if you're up. Obviously, that doesn't mean stop managing risk. What I would still be doing in those situations is moving my stop loss to break even, just so that I'm not unnecessarily risking any percentage of my profits. It's also the stage though that if you're down or break even, you carry on trading. Well, not if you're down. If you break even, you need to carry on trading as safe as possible. You don't want to have a losing month. So what you should do is obviously start implementing some sort of stricter rules. Maybe say if you've been over trading this month and that's the reason you're sitting at break even or down, start saying to yourself, okay, let me try for this last week of the month implementing that sort of less is more approach, where you say, okay, maximum 1 or 2 trades a day, and you really do get that risk management to a T. And then you'll see, hopefully in that last week, it's going to be a massive difference. Coming up a little bit on gold. Stanley, I see you've put a chart in the Telegram. Let me just quickly check it out. Is this bearish trend on the 4-hour with this broker? So this is one of the problems with obviously using different liquidity providers, is sometimes you're going to see 2 candle pullbacks when mine doesn't show me a 2 candle pullback. So if I go to GJ, you can see on my 4-hour, I do not have a let me just see here. Yeah, sorry, we're looking over here. I don't have a 2 bearish candles there. So it's obviously going to be dependent on the liquidity provider which you are using. I use Forex.com, and I always have. So I know some people use Under, some people use, there's so many of these things. These are all the different ones just for GJ itself. So it's all gonna change. Some liquidity providers gap. What I like about Forex.com is you don't get gaps on Forex.com. That's why I do like to use it. Or they happen very, very seldomly. So yeah, it's gonna be up to you. If you wanna use O under, then for you the 4 hours is gonna be bearish. But for me, how I read my chart, the 4 hours is still bullish. Coming up on gold quite nicely, to be honest. Just need to see. Yep, no problem, Stanley. Just need to see if this is actually going to be like a valid type D. What I don't like is obviously not respecting that point, which is a bit annoying. Yeah, it's just gonna go. This 15-minute candle closes in 2 minutes. Might try base a trade on the 15 minutes. What's up, Patrick? Yeah, also gonna wait for the current 15-minute candle to close. If we can get a close above this 15-minute level of resistance, then we definitely could see ourselves come back up. We have cleared these wicks now, but if you're gonna base it on kind of like an impulse and based on a type D entry, it would have been at the break of this high. Stop loss was also quite tight, I think. 16 pips, not that small. GJ, absolute mess. I think gold might be gone though. Do still have a decent amount of range. So yeah, I'm gonna be looking for buys above this level if we get the candle close. This always makes you smile. Nice 15-minute candle close. Just shifting that up a little bit. Obviously, if we get a break of this high now, guys, that is where I'm going to be looking. I do want to see a proper break though, not just a pop above. See how far we moved on the 1 hour. 15 pips. Not too bad. Hopefully no one's taken any GJ trades. Absolutely no confirmations, nothing like that. I think gold's where it's at. Even though for some reason we have volume, yet it's a bank holiday. It's going to be a huge stop loss. Definitely going to need to lower risk if you are planning on taking this. Or ideally what can happen is if we do start coming up a little bit, form some weak or the candle closes around here. What that'll do is this 15-minute candle will still have closed bullish at that point. So then what we can do is base the stop loss on the new 30-minute candle. Hopefully the new 30-minute candle wakes up and then pushes and breaks above these sorts of levels. That's going to be, I think, an ideal situation. Because at the moment, if we're going to base this trade on the 15-minute candle, or the 50-minute time frame, should I say, this stop loss is going to be below this current candle. And that is just, I mean, just based on this current situation, that's going to be 22 pips. So, not ideal. Not ideal at all. Where my stories are in the chat here, guys. They're none. I need some entertainment while we wait for gold. Liking that. Just need some 5-minute support to form now. That will be ideal. While we wait for that, guys, let's just look at some of the fundamentals which are coming in throughout the week. We have some medium impact US dollar news coming in. That is going to be tomorrow, a bit later on in the day after New York Open. Then we have some very light impact pound news, so nothing really to look at there. On Wednesday, though, we do have some heavy impact pound news or some high impact pound news, so that's going to be important to look at. That's going to be in between sort of London Open and then New York Opens, obviously a few hours later, so it's going to be in between that. May possibly still be streaming when this comes out, so we could definitely take a look at that. It's also, though, we need to remember that it is a yen holiday. However, the pound banks are all still open, so there will certainly be market volume there. Then we have some very high impact news coming in on Thursday when it comes to any US dollar related pair. We obviously have the preliminary GDP quarterly coming out, so that's important. Then we also have unemployment claims once again. They're predicting again better numbers, which we had last week as well. So it should be good for the dollar if we do get these forecasted numbers coming out correctly. And then we also have some crude oil inventories and FOMC speakers. So important to look at. And then Friday we have some more heavy sort of higher impact US dollar news. So that's all the news that we're going to be looking at for now. We obviously do need to take into consideration that we do have this massive sort of event happening in the world with that whole Ukraine situation, and both of the pairs that I trade are very highly affected by that situation. So it's important. I know a lot of people purely trade technicals rather than fundamentals, but it is very important to look at fundamentals, especially in a time like this. You could be entering trades based on a technical basis, and then fundamentals sort of impact fundamental analysis basically sort of impacts the markets, and then your technical analysis just gets thrown out the window because fundamentals does not take into consideration market structure, technicals, things like that. It moves completely based on the numbers or the sort of news which is released. We are trying to come up here on GJ, so I do want to see 6 minutes till candle close. This is also going to be not a bad candle close on gold. I do want to see us obviously close above where we have this marked out, this 9350. Let's just change this to 50. Perfect. Then our 1 hour candle will still be open, and obviously based on the 1 hour time frame we are expecting to correct a lot of this move down, so going to be looking at that. Right now, this candle is closing in 5 minutes. Tough decisions. We are forming that 5 minute support as well, which is exactly what I wanted to see. Because basically what's happening here is that's a retest of that previous level of resistance. We're now forming some 5 minute support on that level. So I know it is a very low time frame, very low confirmation, but nevertheless it is a break and retest. This was resistance, broke, retest, and now we want to be creating new highs to basically continue that sort of trend. And that's what we'll be looking for, but on the higher time frames. So 15 minutes, need this candle to, I would ideally like it to still respect the high of this candle because I don't really want to take the trade based on the 50 minute time frame. Stop loss level once again is going to have to be 22 or so pips. That's not going to be ideal. What I would rather wait for is this candle to close, this 30 minute candle to close, probably similar to this, maybe a little bit higher, then come down, wick down into this sort of area over here. It's going to give us a much tighter stop loss, and then we can take entries based on the break of this 30 minute candle high. Obviously we have the clean candles to the left, and we do have overall market structure on our side. GJ is definitely not worth trading at the moment. Please guys, if you haven't, do remember to leave a like on the stream and sub if you're unsubscribed. I would really appreciate that. So we just gotta sit back and wait. There's not really much we can do. Do you prefer GJ or gold? When gold moves nicely, I do prefer gold because get much bigger moves out of it. I don't know if you saw this last month, but most of what I've made has come out of gold. My biggest wins have definitely been gold. GJ I like though because out of the currency pairs that I've traded before, it's definitely the one that has the most ranges and moves the most. So yeah, I'd say I prefer gold, but GJ is also nice. I think more or less, well, I only ever get GJ and gold charts from you guys, but I think a lot of you guys also trade the exact same pairs, so GJ and gold. I know it is very common, because I know obviously Raja trades that as well. Matt Todd trades GJ. I'm not too sure if he trades gold so much, but yeah, a lot of the other sort of streamers and things like that who definitely trade those pairs. They are quite common. And I don't think I've ever gotten in Telegram a different chart from you guys, other than GJ or gold. But that's good, you know, 1 to 2 pairs, and if GJ and gold are the pairs you've chosen, that is absolutely perfect. Sometimes GU, yeah, sometimes I do get GU. A lot of people who trade GJ trade GU as well. It's a scalper thing. Well, they do move heavily, so yeah. And they're also very, you know, volume time dependent. So when we have these opens, we normally get extremely nice moves. I know people who only will trade that half an hour or the hour of an open and won't trade any other time of the day, and are super profitable traders. I know people who only trade gold and are super profitable traders for just one pair rather than 1 to 2 pairs. People who only trade a 430 candle, well for me 430, but that's I think that's a 930 candle in 930 Eastern candle on gold, and that also usually moves like a absolute truck. So a lot of people make good money on that. You're trading on the 15 minutes, thought that's risky? No, because if you put the 2 time frames together, you can see if we get a candle close on the 15 minute, and that will also lead to a candle close on the 30 minute. So you can't just look at one time frame. I've explained this already. If we get a candle close on the 30 minute above this level, I want to see a wick down and then push up. Could be forming some 15-minute resistance. Weak 15-minute resistance. Minutes and lower time frames, of course, are riskier. The lower the time frame you go, the less confirmation you're going to have. That's why trading 5-minute time frames is definitely not what I enjoy doing. Where would your stop loss be? Explain that below this current 30-minute candle. If trading on the 15-minute, well, I'm not trading on the 15 minutes. But nevertheless will be below this 15-minute candle, because this makes up the the new 30-minute candle. I think I need to get you a hearing aid there. Hang on. I've explained this. I always put my stop loss, generally I'd say 90% of the time, at the low of the or the high of the entry candle. Sometimes it's the previous candle, but usually it's the entry candle, low or the high, just depending if we're buying or selling. Obviously, in this case, we will be buying, or I will be buying, should I say? So it's going to be at the low. Because what that will also do is form some 15-minute support if we do continue bullish, and then that's your retest of this previous level of resistance. So that will be your resistance, turn to support, so kind of like your break and retest to continue. We did complete that support on GJ as well. So you can see we are forming this higher high, higher low sort of situation. So we are trying to move up on GJ. It's whether we actually are going to. So at this point, we just, once again, sit and wait. Whether you're going to market execute or have stops is completely up to you. Gonna see as we start edging up what I'm going to be doing. That move does worry me, because now it's managing this trade is not going to be easy. I think if we flip, I'm just going to close full, because that's still going to be a lot. It's going to be 10 pips. If this candle flips, I think I'm just going to close the full. The way that that moved, I'm not too convinced we're going to get that solid. We've just had that push, rejected that area, now we're coming down. Be around a 9 pip loss. Okay, closing full right there. That's beautiful. That is beautiful. That is absolutely beautiful. 20 pips. I should have closed half, to be honest with you, but really well done, Belas. You closed plus 16 pips, I closed minus minus 9 or minus 10 full position. Luckily I took a lower lot than usual. Well, I took a 15, but still. closed half, but won the trade after the push. I should have closed half, ended up closing full. First trade of the week. Definitely a much bigger loss than I usually have as well, which is not, you know, not great either. But yeah. Ronan, you definitely wouldn't have wanted to be in that trade, my man. Just one of those annoying situations. Yep. Would have been about, the way it moved as well, would have secured full at probably about 17, 18 pips, which would have been lovely. Almost close too, but jumped a bit to the upside. You know, sometimes you just get really nice situations like that where you're contemplating closing, you're about to close, and then all of a sudden price moves in your direction. I mean, the way that price moved there was very fast. You know, is what it is though. Can't win them all. And that's just one of those situations. Luckily, it has been an extremely good month, so I can't be too cross with myself. But yeah, it obviously would have been nice to have maybe just closed half at this flip position, and then the other half would have definitely made up for that and a little bit extra. It was this 5-minute candle that kind of put me off, and then you can see this new 5-minute candle just absolutely went for it. GJ as well. Was there some news that came out all of a sudden that it just moved like that? Could be that. Super unfortunate. Well done though to anyone who did manage to get those entries. It was, we did chat about it. Just the execution was poor on my side. I definitely should not have closed that full position, and should have closed half. But obviously the stop loss was a bit bigger than what I'd wanted. The stop loss for me was about 13 or so pips. So yeah, wasn't, looking back on it now, definitely should have closed half. And then the other half of the position definitely would have made up for that loss and more. But yeah, as you guys know, these sort of things happen. And like you say there, Velas, it is what it is. Exactly. And yeah, this month has been, you know, an absolutely amazing month so far. I can't complain at all about this month. And yeah, we'll probably, looking at how markets are moving now, we'll probably find a move a bit later on in the day. Maybe GJ, we can eventually get out of this range. But yeah, not you know, angry about it at all. No, definitely no revenge trading going to be happening with that one. But yeah, just an unfortunate occurrence. But we live and we learn, and it is what it is. Pushing nicely, so if anyone does have a runner in, make sure your stop loss is at break even. Sorry guys, just sending a message quickly. Apologies guys, was just sending a message quickly. So yeah, one trade taken, gold buys, I mean yeah, minus 10 pips or so. Risk management was basically impossible to do on that trade due to how fast we started coming down, and there was very much so a lack of areas to manage risk on that trade. But yeah, it's fine. Definitely did close it before when it was meant to be closed, and should have closed half. So what I'll be looking for the rest of the day is, if we are going to continue with this bullish movement, we can obviously mark in this as a possible area to look for some buys as 1898.42. We obviously do need to understand that this 1900 level is an extremely strong level. We rejected when we got to the 1800 level. We kept moving past it, coming back down, under it, back to it. These full number levels are very, very strong levels. So that's something to look at. So what I'll be looking for is obviously some maybe potential buys above 1898. And what I'll also be looking for is possible pullback on this sort of push that we've already had. So what we can be expecting is maybe a bit of a pullback to this sort of level, retest this resistance level properly, and then start retesting the highs, which if we do come up and create a high at this sort of resistance level, that's what I'll be looking for. Sells wise, otherwise we're still looking for possible risky sells under 1887, and then I would definitely say these earlier buys into this 1900 level are a possibility. GJ, very important to remember that we are stuck and trapped in a no trade range. I would not be at all interested in taking any trades based on this area. Definitely not going to be actively looking for any trades currently while in this range. I will be looking for some possible buys above 156.704. Obviously you can see we are rejecting that, so this is holding strong, this resistance level. But if we do get a candle close above that level, it's a strong indication then that resistance level isn't holding, and we could then start moving up. Those are going to be super early and aggressive buys, but could pay off. Otherwise, there are risky sell levels. Obviously, we have the clean candles to the left below 156.429. Definitely something to look at. If we're going to be looking at further continuation buys, there is a very risky 15-minute level above. Let's just see here. Risky 15-minute level above 156.921, roughly that area. So if we get a candle close above there, we can maybe see ourselves coming up towards, yeah, it's about 20 pips worth of range, 157.178. So again, wait for the candle closes. I wouldn't be taking that based off of an impulse. And if we're going to get through those levels, we can be looking to eventually break out of this 4-hour range, which we're trapped in. You can see we are trapped in a 4-hour range. Once we've retested the high, hopefully we can continue. Otherwise, what could happen is we form resistance at the high of this range and just come straight back down to the bottom and maintain the sort of support and resistance levels that we have. So yeah, I hope that you guys did manage to take that gold trade and didn't have a situation like I just did, where closing the trade too early and then it plays out. But you know what, it is what it is. And I hope that you guys have a great rest of your day. I will not be streaming New York today because I think that Roger will most probably be streaming, so everyone will most probably go and watch that. So what I'd rather do is stream tomorrow afternoon. I'll do probably tomorrow and Thursday. So I hope that you guys have a great rest of your day. Members, if you guys need me, you guys know where to find me. Just send me whatever you want and I'll get back to you. Also guys, on the Telegram, you know, you can also message me whenever and I will try to get back to you as soon as possible. Yeah, I'll see you guys all tomorrow for the London session as well, same time as today. And yeah, trade safely for the rest of the day, and remember that 1 to 2 rule that I always talk about. So yeah, have a great rest of your day guys. Thanks Nick, thanks for all the support guys. Leave a like if you haven't already, and see you all tomorrow. Cheers.